Time now for Take Your Pick. We're going to make all of our Week 16 picks in the NFL, as we do every single week here on Time to Shine. And joining us right now to make those aforementioned picks, our good friend and CBSSports.com Vegas insider, the great Todd Fuhrman. Todd, I did it again. I did my best Jeff Fisher impression last week, going 8-8 against the spread.
You know, you only lose a little bit of juice there, but I think you're still over 500 for the season. And, of course, games in the postseason, if we want, we can weight them a little bit heavier. So if you need a few to get you in the plus side of the ledger when the dust settles, we'll make those accommodations, Mr. Schein.
Listen, 9 games over 500 on the season. Feeling really good about things. It's been a great year, but we got to finish strong. And speaking of finishing strong, Todd Fuhrman, the Giants are going to clinch a playoff spot against the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. The G-Men are favored by 2 in Philly, so Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
This is going to look like a different Eagles team than we've seen of late, Adam. I know you were on the Carson Wentz bandwagon early, and that's kind of gotten a little bit off the tracks, but that was without the services of offensive lineman Lane Johnson. He'll be back in the fold for Carson tonight against the Giants. When you look at the other host of weapons, Darren Sproles missed last week. He'll be back. Ryan Matthews, Jordan Matthews. And we know the difference with the Eagles defense. It's night and day, home and road. I think Philadelphia will relish the role of playing spoiler, at least for tonight. Give me the home underdog to get things done at Lincoln Financial Field.
I give you credit for the knowledge that you just gave me and the audience right there. And by the way, I considered it, and you know, that's not spin on Lane Johnson. I think he single-handedly derailed the Wentz wagon. If you remember the first game to the Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, Philly outplayed them. I think the Giants MVP in that one was Doug Peterson, who had no idea what he was doing in terms of what to do on 4th down and when to kick and when to go and everything we talked about earlier in the show. Todd, I think this Giants defense, though, is too much, and I'm going to take the Giants to win, to cover, and to make the playoffs tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Washington Redskins, 3-point road favorites in Chicago, taking on the Bears on Saturday. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
There may not be a defense in the National Football League taking on water faster than the aforementioned Washington Redskins, and they're running into a Chicago Bears offensive juggernaut. I use that term a little bit loosely, but Jordan Howard, I think, is poised for a massive day against this Redskins defense. We've seen this number tick out to 3.5, come back. I think this Bears team playing with a ton of confidence, and they've been point spread darlings. Washington may be busy licking their wounds on a short week going into Soldier Field. Give me Chicago to knock Washington officially out of the postseason.
You hate that. You hate that. And believe me, I hated that based upon what I saw from Washington last week. Hey, I give you credit. You nailed it on the Panthers. I thought you were crazy 1 week ago. I thought Washington was going to cruise and run the table. I'm still stunned by what happened on Monday night. Todd, you're right about how Chicago has been in all these games. They've covered the spread. Howard's been great. I just still think Washington's too good. I believe that Monday night was a blip as opposed to a trend, and it's more important to Washington. I think that matters this time of year. Still great matchups for Kirk Cousins and his weapons. I'm going to take the Redskins to win and cover. Now, if the playoffs started today, we remind you, they do not. The Miami Dolphins would be in. The Dolphins, Todd Fuhrman, 3.5-point underdogs in Buffalo on Saturday. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
The Miami Dolphins have to be one of the biggest surprises this season. You look at what Adam Gase has done, getting this team to buy into his mentality, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Matt Moore looked like a polished veteran quarterback shredding the Jets defense. But, Adam, I think you and I might be able to shred that Jets secondary, the shambles they're in, and the huge chunk yardage they've given up. I think it's Miami's defense which will be their Achilles heel this week. Look for a steady dose of Gillislee, LaShawn McCoy, Tyrod Taylor take advantage with play action. And if there's a coach in the league who wins more games when they mean nothing than Rex Ryan, I'm not sure who it is. Give me Buffalo not only to win, but to cover the 3.5.
You are just absolutely out of your mind, Todd Fuhrman, and your take is offensive. The point spread on this game is offensive. Nobody puts Matt Moore in a corner or something like that. Point being, I just think Adam Gase has done a great job. I think Jay Ajayi is going to run wild on this Bills defense. And listen, do you trust Rex Ryan and the Buffalo Bills in a big spot in December? I don't. I think that Matt Moore is going to drive the nail into Rex Ryan's coffin in Buffalo and his entire coaching career. Give me the Miami Dolphins to win by double digits. The Tennessee Titans, 5-point favorites in Jacksonville this week. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
This, Adam, was one of the hardest games for me to handicap, and I know the casual observer out there goes, what's so difficult? You take the points, Jacksonville is dead and buried, but I think we're going to see a little bit of fight out of the Jaguars. Now, I know, of course, that, again, a relative term given the robust performance offensively a week ago when they mustered 150 yards in the loss against the Texans. But I think this is a Jacksonville team who's built to attack a Titans secondary. They were embarrassed on Thursday Night Football earlier in the season, and Jaguars players this week said they didn't show enough effort. Do I hate the fact that Jacksonville still has to lean on Blake Bortles? Absolutely, but it's the Jacksonville defense who does enough to keep us inside the number. The Titans win, but the Jaguars get the cover.
Todd, I don't hate the pick, and if you remember, I took Jacksonville last week to cover, and we hit that one, and I'm with you. I think the effort's going to be great. I think Doug Marrone's going to certainly keep these guys focused, and he's also not Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley, nice guy, horrible football coach. But there's something about Blake Bortles I just can't get past. And you know what? Dick LeBeau going up against Blake Bortles, that's not a fair fight. I think DeMarco Murray and Marcus Mariota will make plays. I don't feel great about it. It was the last one that I circled when our producer Allison Cohen sent us the games and the point spreads this morning. But I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to win and cover. All right. I can't wait for this pick. America can't wait for this pick. My playoff-bound Oakland Raiders, 3.5-point favorites, as they host the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Todd, I think we know your pick based upon precedent, but here's your opportunity to justify it to America.
Well, Adam, I went back and forth. I wanted to make a case for the Raiders because I think this number is actually a touch light given how these two teams stack up from a metric standpoint. Then I did some more poking around. I looked at Andrew Luck and his ability to keep his team in games, especially as an underdog, knowing that that back door could potentially be open. And the next thing I did, I went to my closet to try and see anything I could find that was royal blue, and I happened to find this nice sport coat, a light blue shirt to put on to support the Indianapolis Colts here as a very live underdog. Andrew Luck is the foundation of this franchise. He may keep Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano employed for just one more week. That hook is huge here. Oakland very well could win. I'm not sure they do. They may have that collective sigh of relief knowing they're going back to the postseason. Indianapolis storms into Northern California and gets me the cover.
All right, let me address two things that you said. Number one, I love Andrew Luck, but I just think it's a brutal matchup for the offensive line going up against Khalil Mack and company. They should be able to develop a pass rush. And Todd, I hear you in theory on Oakland and whether or not they let up a little bit, they're in the playoffs. There's too much at stake. You don't want to be the 5 seed. You want to be the 2 seed. You want the bye. I trust the inner workings of this team and Jack Del Rio and Derek Carr. I'm going to take the Raiders by a touchdown to win and cover. The Houston Texans hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. And Todd, this game became a pick-em once A.J. Green said he was playing. So Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
Yeah, this number, Adam, actually opened with the Texans a 3-point favorite, and we've seen that move you mentioned all the way in the Bengals' favor. But the reason I can't back the Bengals here is because the Brock party is over. It's now Tom Savage's team under center. And when you look at Cincinnati, last weekend's game against the Steelers was their Super Bowl. They were out there fighting tooth and nail. They looked like they had that game won, not once, not twice, but maybe 3 times. And even with A.J. Green in the fold, I'm not sure you're going to get anything close to that same level of engagement, commitment from the Cincinnati Bengals side. So I'm going to go against the move. I think the Texans know what's at stake here. They have to hold serve at home, potentially setting up that massive showdown next weekend in Nashville. So give me the Houston Texans at a pick, and Tom Savage starts to launch his legacy as a Texan.
I'm with you on Tom Savage and the legacy, but here's all you need to know. It's Christmas Eve nights, and it's Andy Dalton and Marvin Lewis. It's nighttime, and it's Marv and Andy. I checked my Citizen Watch. The game is starting at night. Just give me the other team. I'll take Houston. The Baltimore Ravens visiting the Steelers on Christmas. Pittsburgh favored by 5. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
This game for me, Adam, boils down to one injury, and of course we won't know the status of Jimmy Smith much closer to kickoff. But what he does for this Ravens defense is absolutely amazing. He's been a thorn in Antonio Brown's side, and when games Jimmy Smith doesn't play for this Ravens secondary, they become dead last in the entire league. Smith isn't an ultra-elite lockdown corner, it's just a drop-off from him to everybody else. The Ravens have owned this series, and that's largely because of a coaching mismatch between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Everybody's making it sound like it's a formality that the Steelers are into the playoffs, knowing they just need a win and hold serve at home. I think the Ravens are going to be there for a full 60 minutes, and 5 points is an awful lot for me to pass up. Give me the Ravens here as a very live underdog against the black and gold.
I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers, Todd, and to your point on Jimmy Smith, even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. I think that'll be a factor in this one. And look, this rivalry is amazing. I love hate. The fans hate each other, the coaches hate each other, the organizations hate each other, the players hate each other. Good old-fashioned hatred on Christmas. It doesn't get any better than that. But I think the Steelers, with the way Le'Veon Bell's running the football, they're just better. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers by a touchdown to win and cover. Sunday Night Football. The Broncos visit Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs, Todd Fuhrman, favored by 3.5. Todd, take your pick.
Adam, you might be able to set your citizen watch by the time that Kansas City Chiefs find a way to get 3 offensive touchdowns in a football game, because it hasn't happened since October. This team looks great in fits and spurts. They put together 5-7 minutes, and you start to believe Kansas City may be a team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the AFC postseason picture. And then Andy Reid calls a timeout on a Ryan Succop field goal that was no good. Succop gets to reattempt the field goal, and he ruined your perfect score prediction where you said Kansas City would win that game 17-16. For me, Denver doesn't run the football well enough to put stress on Kansas City's defense, but Denver defensively is going to be a tough out for Kansas City. I don't think this game will be 3-0, which would be nice, being able to grab 3.5 with the Broncos, but I think Denver finds a way to get to 14 points, and that may be all they need to cover here. Give me the Broncos with their playoff hopes on life support.
Yeah, Todd, we're sharing a brain. I'm going to take Kansas City to win. I'm going to take Denver with the points. This kind of feels like 17-16 again, 17-14. Look, we destroyed Denver earlier in the show. I think they're going to lose out. They can't run. They can't stop the run. But the offensive line is bad. But I think they have pride, and they have enough on defense to make it a game. Kansas City wins. Give me Denver. I'll grab the Broncos with the points. Take a look at the rest of our picks for Christmas weekend in the NFL. I've got Green Bay, Todd Fuhrman rolling with Minnesota. I'm going to take the Patriots over the Jets 45-3. Only question, how will the Jets get 3? I've got the Chargers. Todd Fuhrman has the Browns. We are both rolling with the Atlanta Falcons. Bucs Saints. I've got Tampa. Todd rolling with the New Orleans Saints. I've got San Fran. That's to win out, by the way. Todd going with the Rams. We're both taking the Arizona Cardinals. I've got the Cowboys. Todd Fuhrman, the Lions. Friendly reminder to our viewers, as we always do every week on Time to Shine, we always make sure before we make our picks, we go listen to Todd's Bet the Board podcast. It's easily found at bettheboardpodcast.com. Todd, good luck this holiday weekend. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and we'll talk to you again real soon.